episode 95. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How is it going, Dave? We're on the eve of Gamescom Live, which will probably be hopefully good enough that I message you Wednesday and be like, we got to record Thursday.
Yeah. I forgot that they had their little Xbox press conference today, too. So, or games brief, media brief. So.
Yeah, the Xbox One wasn't too crazy. We'll talk a little bit about what was announced in the news for the Xbox stuff.
Awesome. All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly show, that uploads every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Time, on podcast services that are pretty much, I think, almost everything that's available that we feel like our community uses. There's some random ones that we're not on, so if you use those, like, you might want to consider switching to something else, or tell us, and we'll see if we can get on there.
Is the only one that I couldn't figure out, I think. But no one said, like, oh, you guys aren't on Pandora, which most people would forget exists.
Yeah. So, but if you're able to subscribe, that's great. If you can leave us a review, that's super helpful. Leaving written words on there as well is tremendously helpful. It moves us up algorithms, and all that other stuff. So that, and then sharing helps as well. There's tons of you are downloading the show. We're just trying to grow a little bit better. Just seeing if we can just get a little bit better, and broaden our audience. There is a bunch of links in our show notes. You can click on join the community, Facebook, Discord, the website. You can send us emails, hashtags, Twitter handles. All that stuff is in the show notes. So check those out and follow if you feel so led to. YouTube, all that stuff helps. Subscribe on YouTube, any of that stuff. It's all free. Twitch affiliation as well, so you can use a paid sub if you choose, or you can link it with your Amazon Prime account and you get a free Twitch Prime sub every month. You do have to renew that every 30 days. So if you are somebody that did that before, like a month ago or a couple months ago, like, thank you. And if you're willing to, like, maybe open the Twitch app real quick, right, maybe while you're listening to this or when you're thinking about it, and just check if the subscription's still valid. And if it's not, maybe consider re-upping it. That's a help as well. So we're going to jump right into the news. Lighter week, but I mean, usually when I say lighter week, we end up going off on some random tangent. So
there might be some tangents. The first story is, something that will be fully revealed during the Gamescom. What is it? Opening Night Live, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, I think it is, right?
Yeah, so Jeff Keighley put out a teaser image of the Saints Row logo with graffiti that says rebooting. It is confirmed that we will get a trailer of some sort at Gamescom opening night. And yeah, I mean, this is the thing we've been waiting for. Volition has been working on this for a long time. The last numbered Saints Row game, I believe, was 2013, 2014. If you don't count, like, the Get Out of Hell expansion, or the what was that?
Switch
bad
ports.
Game?
Agents of Mayhem.
Yeah, which was like in universe. And yeah, we knew this was happening because back in 2019, THQ Nordic pretty much said, like, Volition's working on the next Saints Row game, but we just got confirmation. The question is, like, how long will this game be out, or how long until we probably actually can get our hands on this game? I would imagine sooner rather than later, but I don't think it's going to be a this year game, but probably a sometime next year game based on how long they've been developing it.
Well, do you think it's a remaster, or do you think it's like a alternate universe? Because, like, I mean, they do whatever the hell they want. So is it going to be like the same characters? Do you think it's going to be different characters in the same world? Like, I mean, like, do you think it's a reboot, or do you think it's a remaster? I guess.
Well, I'm guessing it's a reboot or refresh, just because they, like, the graffiti does say rebooting. I think like, you can't use that phrase without it actually being a reboot. And the game, the universe of Saints Row needs to be reset. This would be like the third kind of. Well, 1 and 2 are very different games than what 3 and 4 are, and 3 and 4 just went so off the rails crazy that, like, there's nothing you can really do after 4. So I wouldn't hate if it's a full-on reboot, either using some of the same characters or just giving us fresh new characters.
Yeah, I could see. I haven't really gotten into this franchise, but I guess I could see them doing, like, the first, like, I don't even know, like, the prologue of this game, like, feeling like 3 and 4, and then some catastrophic event happens that, like, resets, like you said, like, resets the whole world, and all of a sudden, like, all that crazy stuff you were talking about where they went, like, GTA on steroids, is, like, not usable anymore. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know,
Or if they inject that craziness into the first two games somehow, of just like revisit back when the game was a little bit more straightforward in its like GTA cloneness before they I found their own personality, which was, to be wild and crazy. So if they can somehow inject that craziness that we got in 3 and 4 into the 1 and 2 universe, that would be pretty interesting. I personally, I have mixed feelings because I'm excited that there's a new Saints Row, but I got so tired of Saints Row after the fourth game that I don't know if I can get into that. But it's been a long time since we just had an open world game.
Well, and the scary part too is, like you said, Agents of Mayhem flopped, and that was their attempt to do, I guess, what I would consider like an alternate world that was still in the Saints Row ecosystem. There was a lot of Saints Row hints and stuff in the game, and it was it felt very Saints Row like, but it just wasn't good.
And that was the problem. They tried something new, tried to switch up the gameplay, but it just didn't work out for them. That game, you knew there was problems when they had to constantly clarify, oh no, this isn't a co-op game. And that was the number one thing when you saw that trailer, oh, co-op, and then it's no, it's not. And then the workarounds that they had just weren't great. To where I just stopped playing that game at a certain point. I think I bought
the only reason I got as far as I did in it is because I was reviewing it.
Yeah, it was just one of those kind of disappointments. But THQ Nordic seems like they know what they're doing in terms of their properties, of just hey, just give the fans more of what they like, and Volition probably should have no issue just giving us another Saints Row game at this point. Because I don't think they're going to...
Deep Silver own Volition at one point in time?
Oh, so Deep Silver is part... THQ Nordic bought Deep Silver, I believe is what happened.
Okay.
Back
I remember Deep Silver was doing some of the stuff for Agents of Mayhem.
Yeah, I believe THQ Nordic is Koch Media, and Koch Media own Deep Silver. It's definitely that, crazy...
overarching branches of corporations.
Yeah, I would have to look it back up, but it was either a takeover or a merger that brought this all together.
Then, they obviously Coach had their presentation at E3, or lack of presentation, and I guess the main area I'm getting to the question is: do you think that, I guess with the digital world now, it's completely different in terms of appeal, but this seems like it would have been a US E3 event instead of Gamescom announcement.
Yeah, but THQ Nordic is very much a European company, so it's either they would rather do it for Gamescom, just because that probably means more to them than E3 would, but also this might not have been ready at that point to be presentable 2 months ago. Okay. So I'm guessing it's a combination of they wanted to do something for Gamescom because that's their home show, kind of, and they just worked off that. I would imagine it would be that sort of scenario.
Yeah.
So the next story, I just put in here just because it's just kind of funny. Skyrim 10th Anniversary Edition was announced. Obviously, 10th Anniversary of Skyrim's coming up on November 11th. So Bethesda is celebrating by releasing Skyrim for the 14th time.
14 times.
Someone did the math and did how many times it's been on a system, and if you include the VR, it's 14 times. This will be that Skyrim's been re-released. So
I wonder how many times somebody like Stefan Wren will have beaten it then.
Probably a lot. Sarah's one of the Elder Scrolls fans that definitely has played through Skyrim a handful of times on different platforms. This one, it's a little confusing. So they're claiming this is the most definitive version of the game. It includes the base game, all 3 expansions, and then 500 piece of creator or of the creation content. It includes 500 pieces of content from the Creation Club, which is their paid mod system. Obviously, the anniversary or the special edition includes the ability to support mods, but the Creation Club were their paid Bethesda likes these mods club. So they're including basically everything that was in the Creation Club in this. and then they're also going to add some more quests, bosses, and then fishing. Fishing's like the big thing that they're adding, which a lot of people were excited about. I guess people just like to chill and relax. This also will be... There would be an upgrade path if you have the special edition, but the special edition people will also just get the fishing survival mode and some new quests as well, and it will be a free upgrade to get the PS5 and Series X benefits. So there's an Anniversary edition, and then there's just a free upgrade to the modern consoles for this game. So that's all coming out November 11th. Game Pass will see their special edition get like the 3 free upgrades and then the resolution upgrade. But the Anniversary edition, I don't believe that is coming to Game Pass. But we'll see what happens with that.
I guess at that point in time, there probably isn't a reason for it to. I mean, I guess the Creation Club content would be, I guess, something that they would want. But at that point in time, I feel like Microsoft and Bethesda are like, well, if the base game is on there, we should be able to try to monetize it somehow. It's kind of the whole point of Game Pass. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much how every game runs on Game Pass. It's rare that the DLC is included. The DLC is often on sale. So I did the thing where I downloaded Fallout 3 through Game Pass, and then I bought all the expansions, which were like $1 each. Recently,
and I would assume going into the 10-year anniversary, some of this DLC will go on sale too. So
for sure,
kind of show up on sale in the month of November. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Like obviously, it can generate. Like they've got data that tells them like this is worth the time and the effort. We like it. Again, we've been half joking, but I know multiple people that we've always talked about. Like GTA has been on 3 platforms, and people are gonna. It's been top selling on 3 platforms, and Skyrim, I guess I would say Skyrim, my opinion, or from what I've seen from other people, is probably Bethesda's best game.
Yeah, it's definitely their biggest franchise, or the Elder Scrolls and overall is their biggest franchise, and Skyrim's probably their best seller. I mean, once it comes out on PS5 and Series X and S, it will be on 14 different platforms, so by default, it is like their most popular title.
I mean, I'm of the camp of like if they've got the information that says it's worth it, and then they put it out and it sells, like consumers, it's a consumer-driven market. So if the consumers are driving it, then they're gonna keep trying to package it differently.
Yeah, they're gonna just keep doing this. It just makes me sad though. Like Fallout 3 is kind of, I feel like, almost forgotten by Bethesda at this point. Just probably because it's so hard to port that over because it's kind of broken. That needs like a full like remaster at this point. But I'm seeing them release Skyrim so much, and I'm just looking at Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Like they're just forgotten. Those are like 2 of my favorite Bethesda games. And they're just completely ignored so much in favor of Skyrim. So I'm still holding out hope that one day we'll get like a 3 or a New Vegas remaster. But we'll probably get like 2 or 3 more Skyrim remasters before then. All right. The biggest thing that came out of the Xbox Gamescom event today was xCloud is coming to Xbox consoles this fall. So it's coming to Xbox One and the Series S and X. This will allow players to stream Game Pass games without downloading. So that means they won't have to waste a download or wait for a download to play right away. And this will even open up the opportunity for, if a friend sends an invite from a Game Pass game to you, you can just immediately start playing it without having to download it, which is something I didn't even really think about until it was spelled out in their announcement. Because
presuming you don't have a data cap.
Yeah, presumably. But there's so many times, though, where you get an invite for something and you're just like, shit, I don't have it downloaded or I don't have it patched.
That's true. Yep.
And this will just allow you to just jump right in without having to worry too much about like, see you in 4 or 5 hours. And then a cool feature is Xbox One owners with Game Pass will be able to play Series S and X games like Flight Simulator and The Medium around launch, and then they're going to expand what games are available to last-gen console owners. which is just, I don't know, this is a really cool feature. It's not like they're basically just showing you like, hey, this would look even better if you bought the new console for the few Xbox One owners that are out there.
This is 100%. This is 100%. Like, oh, the first taste is free. Like, think about how cool your plane could look and how detailed everything could look if you're on this other thing. You know, if you're on a more, you know, like this is where and we've been talking about this, and at this point in time, I consider Game Pass to be a form of software. But this is where the old additive comes in: software sells hardware. People, like, if they subscribe to Game Pass, they have an Xbox One, and they get to see this stuff, and then they're like, oh, it could work, it could run better on a series, or it could run better on a PC. Like, this is where they presumably decide to possibly upgrade because of the library and the things that are being added. Like, oh, like Halo is only running at 30 frames per second on your Xbox One. I'm guessing. I don't know the answer to that or not yet.
1080p 60 is what they're going to stream to you. But yeah, like if you're on the old one, you're probably running an inferior version for most games.
Yeah. So, but this is where Game Pass as a software is going to try to eventually upgrade people into hardware, where like the Xbox All Access, program comes into play. And also, like, this is, with them getting this working on so now this works on the phone. xCloud works on the phone, works on PC, and it's going to start, it's starting on console. The question in the chat is it coming to the One and the series on day and date, or is it the series first and then the One?
I believe it's going into a beta at first this fall, but yeah, it is coming to both.
And he's also talking about he lives overseas, and it's not in xCloud is not available to him in his country.
Yeah, that's something that I'm sure they're working on. More and more as they get stuff into different regions.
But I feel like we've said before, we're getting closer and closer to the app on a TV or like screen mirroring, or like as they've got it working on iPads, like to where people can just play it on their iPad, which some people's iPads are, display resolution and stuff better than some of their TVs they have. So like that's where that's where this as an ecosystem, like you just have to start considering Game Pass to be its own like ecosystem. And as Halo comes, and as there's other, as we're starting into the August of where you're seeing Psychonauts in 12 minutes, and these 6, 7, 8, 9 games are going to come out between now and the holiday that are going to be all provided as part of Game Pass, along with a couple people I know are getting the 90 days for $1, and they're like, oh, there's like Wyatt, he's been playing a handful of different stuff that he's like, oh, I gotta play this and beat it before my subscription expires, and then if he doesn't beat it, like he may or may not re-up. I don't think he'll re-up for the $10 a month or the $15 a month before, but if he comes across another special where he can get another 3 months or 6 months for $30 or $15 or whatever, like
he'll probably jump on it. Yeah. I really do think so. Phil Spencer has been asked about like, what about TV apps? And the answer was always, once we get it on consoles, then we'll start looking into TVs, which I think is like a half true statement. They're already looking at TVs. It's not like they don't have a team working on like a TV app now. I'm guessing
it's essentially a TV app on the
exactly.
It's essentially an app on the phone, and I'm assuming it'll be an app on the consoles. So this is like clicking on Netflix on your Xbox or clicking Netflix on your PS4 or PS5.
I'm guessing at CES in January is when we hear of the first TV manufacturer that has signed a deal to bring Game Pass to their TV, because that's where you would make this announcement. Because this isn't the TV app isn't like a sexy announcement for an E3, but CES crowd would eat that up.
I could totally see like a company like Vizio doing something like this with them. So.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's even a lower company like TCL, in terms of like that manufacturer that's just looking for a way in, and also they have like the lowest entry point to bring in lowest entry point to bring people in. So if they can somehow be the one that gets Game Pass on their TV first, that would be huge.
I mean, if you think about it, like if you're shopping for a TV and you're looking at a TCL and you're looking at a Samsung, and like on a scale of 1 to 10, all your reviews you're reading, like the TCL is like a 7, a 7.5, and the Samsung's like an 8 or an 8.5. Then the bundle possibility of like, oh, this comes with a year of Game Pass or 2 years or whatever it is, that's that could kind of put somebody over the top, possibly, of like, okay, like I might lose a couple pixels, or like, instead of like 75 hertz, it's 60 hertz, but I'm getting Game Pass for 2 years or something. Like, that would be super interesting.
And we're at the point now where we don't have to worry about, like, when PS Now was first being put on Blu-ray players and TVs, there was always like that notion of just like, oh, but then you got to buy a controller and it's no big deal. But now we're at the point where I guarantee every household either has a PlayStation or an Xbox controller, and Game Pass works with both of those controllers with no problem. So we're at the point
but like
now.
to your point as well. I'm sure if Microsoft signs a deal with somebody, one of those Xbox controllers is just going in the box.
Yeah, it will either go in the box, or if they want to keep the price down, they'll just be like, you probably have a controller somewhere,
Especially, or here's a coupon for 50% off a controller from the Microsoft Store or something.
Yeah, or they partner with Razer and get like one of the cheaper Bluetooth ones. But I guarantee we're going to see something at CES with them doing the TV app announcement, and who knows? It could be they sign multiple deals with TV companies, but most likely these TV companies will be paying Microsoft for the service to be on there. So they'd probably
a year exclusivity deal or something like that. Or...
Yeah, which then would probably price out the lower ones, but that means Samsung, LG, and then there's a joke in the chat that like it wouldn't be crazy if Sony signed a deal. It's like it wouldn't be crazy based on how Sony runs sometimes. Where Sony would be like,
and the fact that they need their technology division to do better.
Yeah,
and that could be something that helps them do better. Yeah. Because the PlayStation brand has been holding that entire company up for multiple years now.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like completely crazy that Sony would sign a deal for that as well. But we're probably looking at Samsung since they've worked with Xbox or Microsoft several times before.
Well, just the Android-based things too.
Yeah.
Android-based operating systems. So.
That's kind of it for news. I mean, there's like some smaller stuff, like Rocket League got a 120 frames patch on PS5. Assassin's Creed Odyssey got a 60 frames patch to work through backwards compatibility. We're seeing a lot of updates for older games, which I think is really cool. And I also think that is a definite sign of these companies being like,
the new stuff's not ready. Make the old stuff look pretty.
Exactly. That is what I was going to totally say, of just like, hey, we don't have a game ready yet. What can we do to keep people interested? Oh, let's just patch it for the PS5 and the Series X. So we're seeing like quite a few games get these patches. Odyssey getting a patch is kind of crazy since, it's 2 games back and a couple years old now.
But again, they obviously must see like these companies, like whether the game comes to Game Pass, and we've seen all the player spikes that happen to like dirt racing and stuff, or like I would assume that when this all of a sudden this comes out, like somebody's gonna be like, hey, I never finished Odyssey, or I definitely want to go back and check it out, and like, oh, now it's gonna just look prettier, like and they download it, and I'm sure they see an increase in their player numbers, or then they put it on sale and they see an increase in sales figures. Like there's definitely rhymes and reasons to what they're doing. Yeah,
they probably were like, well, we see the percentage of people that beat Odyssey, and it's probably something low, like 40%. We put the 60 frames patch in, now we're going to get those people to possibly complete the game, or a good chunk of those people to complete the game. Oh, and then look, our DLC's on sale for the rest of the year or whatever, and then they pull people in through like DLC sales. So there's always definitely a financial reason to do this. But definitely part of it that plays into it is just like, yeah, our next thing's not ready yet, and we need to do something. So here's some fun things that we can do, probably relatively quick. I'm not saying that this is easy to do, but definitely is a lot more efficient than releasing like an expansion. But that is it for the news. Again, all the big news is happening tomorrow for the Jeff Keighley show. And then we'll probably have a bunch of stuff to talk about next week. I'm hoping it's big enough that Dave shoots me a message of like, oh, we need to talk about this stuff tonight. Because that's happened before in DDG's history, where we record last second because we watch something and we're just like, okay, yeah, we have to do this.
I actually might be able to pay attention to it because it might be going on while I'm still at work, since I work in the middle of the night now.
No, unfortunately, it'll be when you're asleep, because I think it starts at like 10 a.m. or 12. So unfortunately, you'll be knocked out. I'll be at work, but I'm definitely hoping there's some big things happening that will feel like we need to cover it right away.
Yeah. I would love to. I would love there to be enough stuff out of Gamescom to do something cool like that. Absolutely. No, regardless of the platform.
Yeah.
All right, so next segment you have is in What's Delayed. Well, I think we'll have a brief, quick, interesting conversation about this. I know you put it in What's Delayed, but it's not delayed. You can't delay a game that doesn't have a date.
No. Okay, so WWE 2K22 is now coming in March 2022. They've been promising all year that it would release this year. They kept saying this calendar year, it's coming out. It usually comes out in the fall.
Technically, March is in their calendar year.
Yeah, but that's if they were talking financially. They were talking front-facing to fans.
Calendar-wise.
Yeah. So this has been delayed till March 2022. They released like a brief trailer of the game. These trailers always look good for the most part in terms of like, hey, look how realistic these wrestling menus look.
This one looks really good.
Yeah. So. But they've done this before, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, they skipped last year, and now they're skipping this year. So there's hope that they got it together. The interesting thing with this particular game is WWE's like let go 50 people this year. And I'm sure that's a headache for the team at Visual Concepts to where they put all these work into these assets and it's like, Bray Wyatt got cut. Yep. He was a big part of our story. Too bad. Cut him out. Put The Undertaker in there. So they've been having to deal with like all these cuts. And then AEW is going to release their game potentially next year, so we might have some sort of competition in the video game market for video, like the wrestling video game stuff, which it's been a long time since we've had any sort of competition in there. And I'm wondering if WWE is... Anytime WWE does stuff now, you have to wonder if it's like a reaction to what's happening in AEW. So they know AEW is going to release a game next year, so they're like, let's get our game out in front of it, and then also it's out of the way of it, to where now these WWE games will probably start releasing in March. Yeah, as opposed
they've
to
also done some. I was reading some stuff. They've done some interesting stuff to the 2K19 servers, like certain modes and stuff that have been deactivated.
They've been doing a lot of weird stuff with it. I think we're probably really close for them just killing 2K19 because it's such a mess. Yeah. Of just as soon as this game comes out, I'm sure they'll just kill the servers.
6 months afterwards, they're gonna
and just hope it goes away.
Yeah, I mean somebody I know does PR for 2K, so that's why I was seeing a lot of this stuff. So, but hopefully it works out for them. Like I said, the little bit of the stuff they showed, because it was like during
SummerSlam.
It wasn't SummerSlam, okay, in Vegas. So it definitely looks, it looks promising, but we've also seen stuff look promising before from 2K in general, especially in the wrestling division. Yeah. I know that you've been. I don't think you've. If my memory serves me right, I don't really think you've been happy with one since like 16?
2K14, 2K15 was like the last one that I was like really happy with, and then it just slowly was going off a cliff, and then 2K19 was the one where it just completely fell apart.
Yeah, and you can definitely see if stuff's not pushing, if people aren't being pushed. Like the new Madden's not reviewing very well either, because people are like, oh, you're cutting out more and more stuff that the classic football fans like to play. And like, as I think that the consumer that would buy your wrestling game is definitely like a more of a diehard wrestling fan, and they wouldn't want to. They still, I guess, my perspective is like people don't watch WWE wrestling for the wrestling; it's for the stories and the character development. So.
Yeah, that definitely is the case for a majority of the audience, though. I feel like in the last 2 years it's shifted to where the stories have gotten so stale that people are like, I just want good wrestling, like they've been pushing the story.
Yeah,
but that changes every couple
obviously
years.
That's from afar.
Yeah. So. It's definitely one of those weird things with wrestling. It's just like the fan base either just really wants good wrestling matches, and then other times they just really want good story. But right now there's competition. So that's good for everything right now. Ukes is doing an AEW game, and Visual Concepts are actually going to get a full chance to do a WWE game, as opposed to last time where Ukes was just kind of pulled off that game and then given to Visual Concepts, and then they just had to put out 2K19 with Band-Aids and duct tape. So hopefully now they have time, because I want a good wrestling game. Like, that's all I want. Like, we've seen some interesting stuff in the independent scene for wrestling games, but we haven't had a really good AAA game. So I hope AEW can deliver. I hope WWE can deliver, because that'll just be best for everybody.
Right. All right. So that's kind of the stuff not coming when, I guess I would almost call it like not coming when anticipated to release.
Yeah.
So what we're playing and watching, obviously I'm still heavily working on overnights. I think those have been extended one more week. Hopefully that's it. So hopefully by the early September I'll be back on daytime schedule.
You're
still
on 4
playing...
hours of sleeps right now. So
Yeah, because of the heat and everything. Yeah. So still playing lots of Skyward Sword. Zelda, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I think my last save I looked at, it was like 30 hours in, and like I said before, it still doesn't feel like that. It hasn't started to feel like that slog until recently. Like I was playing a little bit yesterday, and there was this point where like all my items got taken away from me, and I don't remember this happening before, and I'm like, okay, this is like the third or fourth time I'm visiting the same area. So, but the story is still like so cool, like in terms of how things are working out and the origin story of the Master Sword. So it's still like my favorite lore story driven one. But just the sword mechanics are so. I still probably should try the Joy-Cons.
You probably should at this point, because it sounds like it is definitely a struggle for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm definitely not dying, and I'm not really needing to use potions and things like that. But there are some times where I do get frustrated. But Zelda games never have like a high barrier of entry or difficulty settings to them. So like I can always go find some more hearts or figure something out, or restart a save. So I think I've had to restart a save once and start manipulating fast travel. We did buy that amiibo. I haven't used it yet, though.
You were able to find it?
Used it. Yeah, it's like we were able to find two. We ordered one initially. I showed her, like, it showed up on Twitter that it was like available at Target, and I sent it to my wife, and she's like, "Well, do you want it?" I'm like, "I don't know if it's worth $25. It's kind of cool looking." I go, "But Owen's gonna want to play with it." And then she's like, "Well, if you don't open it, and then it does become scarce, we can flip it." So,
you could have scanned it through the box if you wanted to.
Yeah, I might have to talk to you about that. But then, so like we ordered it, I think from like Target, and then it was like shipped to store because it was free. Because she's like, I'm definitely not paying like $6 or $8 shipping. She's like, I'll go pick it up. Yeah. And then like the same day that they said they shipped the order, we missed the email that said the order delivered to the store. So then she got an email like last night, or this morning that said like, oh, you didn't pick up your order, so it's been canceled. And she's like, oh, she kind of like never saw the email that it was ready to be gotten. Otherwise she would have gone and gotten it. But then I guess she found another one on GameStop this morning. So like part of what I got slightly woken up to was Michael's cat strode across the entire camera.
The cat's just like walking. I'm just hoping she doesn't hit the keyboard.
Yeah.
It cancels the stream.
So then I got a call from GameStop like on my phone, and that they left me a voicemail, and they're like, oh, your order pickup's ready. I'm like, what order? And then I started looking through the emails, and my wife was in the other room, and I did the lazy thing and didn't want to text her. And I said, you didn't have to order it again. And she like felt bad that she didn't see that it was supposed to be gotten at Target. And she's like, well, GameStop had it. And I was like, all right, whatever. At this point in time, I'm almost kind of done with the game. So I think I'm done. I probably have another 10 hours at the most, 5 hours, which is crazy. Like I liked Ratchet and Clank being like whatever it was, 12 or 14 hours. Like that was a good sweet spot for it. And like I said, I'm like 30 hours in on Zelda, and it doesn't until recently, like the last 2 or 3 hours. That's when it started. Like, okay, this is getting kind of annoying. So that's like the first time it got like that.
How long is the game usually?
I don't know. Like it's been like 10 years since I played it, and I'm definitely not.
Let me look.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. I don't think I'm terrible at the game. It doesn't feel like it's taking me a long time to solve multiple puzzles. There's been a couple things that I've had a slight struggles with, but for the most part, I figure out the pattern in the system, and I get it done in the second, maybe the third try.
38 hours as the average playthrough, and then completionist is 60.
Okay. And I'm at 30. So yeah, like I said, 5 to 6 hours left probably. So I know I'm pretty close. But and then watching again, watch Ted Lasso. You still need to watch that show. It's a great show. Some of the topics that they're dealing with, and it's just a really solid episode. Or this one was just a really solid episode. The last couple of them have been just good. And again, you don't have to be a football / soccer fan or anything like that. I know you don't like the main actor. So
yeah.
I did watch. I had something I had to do Friday afternoon during the day. So when I got home from work Friday morning, we were purposely trying to stay up, and so so then it messed up my sleep schedule. So I woke up at like 5 in the morning on Saturday, 5 or 6 in the morning on Saturday morning, and at like 7 o'clock in the morning, my wife and I watched Suicide Squad.
Oh, nice. What did you think of it?
I have not seen any of the other Suicide Squad movies.
Perfect.
So I don't have anything to really compare it to. And to quote my wife, and she's like, if this one is considered really good, she's like, I'm never watching the other ones. So,
yeah, no, yeah. The other one
so
is
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it was like, I don't think it's a great movie, but I definitely don't think it was terrible. She's not a huge gore fan, sound or visual.
Yeah, the first like 10 minutes of that movie is just gore.
Yep. But it was good. I mean, I was entertained by it. I don't get me wrong. I'm sure I looked at my phone during a couple scenes. There definitely was some filler in there, but overall, I kind of liked what they were doing. Again, I know I'm really terrible at names, but the guy that was playing Deadshot, is that?
Eldris Ibra.
Yeah, he's great. In terms of like he's a great actor. So, and then Cena's character just annoys me. So.
Oh yeah, no, that was like the point of it. But yeah.
Yeah. So. He's supposedly supposed to be getting his own spin-off, like, show? I think I saw this week.
I don't know how that's going to work. I didn't like his character enough to be like, I want a whole series with him.
Yeah.
He was definitely fun in a movie, but I didn't see, like, of all the characters to get their own show, I was just like, I'd rather get a Ratcatcher show.
Yeah. And then we didn't realize, like Paramount Plus, which we have through various reasons, the Paw Patrol movie was on there, so I watched that with Owen. Me and Owen and Angela. Owen, Angela, and I watched that. He's 6 now, so I was actually impressed that he kind of sat through the whole thing. If you have a kid or children that are Paw Patrol fans, I definitely think that it's worth it. If you don't have Paramount Plus, like going to the movie theater, it's a good movie, and the parents will be entertained as well. So I wasn't like bored or put off by it. It had a pretty cool story to it. And
what did Owen think of Suicide Squad?
We had to pause that movie so many times when he walked in the room.
Nice.
And then we had to be careful about where we paused it because we didn't want to leave certain things on the screen.
Yeah, so HBO, I was gonna say, you have to be very careful with
freeze
that
frame and like the head's coming off or something. Like, she kept kicking him out. You need to leave the room. And then what else? I think I have I watched something else. Let me see. I tried to take notes this time. Oh, and then we started watching Jack Ryan again. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, like season 2. It's on Amazon Prime.
Was that ever canceled, or is that continuing?
I don't know.
I feel like it's gotten quiet after season 2.
Yeah, I just don't know when season 2 ended. I don't think that they released everything at once. The reason we started back on Amazon Prime again is because we were looking for Upload season 2. If you guys remember last summer, I watched Upload, which was like a series that people like pass away and they can upload their mind to a digital world. Their being, and that was actually a seemed to have a pretty good storyline. And my wife's like, "What happened to that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I started looking. Season 2 is not out yet. And then we started kind of looking through like best shows to watch on Prime because we're trying to find something that that we would be down to watch and start kind of binging a little bit. Not necessarily binging, but just something that her and I could watch together as I come off of nights and she starts back onto her teaching regimen to try to be on some type of routine of spending some time together. So there's definitely a struggle for us to find another show to watch. So, but yeah, and then Destiny's new season started today. They had a reveal, and my 4 hours of sleep was not because of this reveal. I just want to put that on record. I debated about getting up at noon.
But it happened to coincide with it.
To watch this, and then at 11 o'clock or 11:15, I'm awake, and my wife's like, "You might as well just get up." Because in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'll sleep until 2 or 3 like I try to do every day. I'll watch the reveal, which is like a half an hour, an hour. It turned out to be a half an hour. And then I'll just play the game because like usually there's like major server issues on these launch days because like just little things. Like I was seeing people tweet today, they were trying to pre-order the new collector's edition for Witch Queen, which is coming February 22nd. And there was like 60,000 people on the Bungie store.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Like in terms of when you see a tangible number like that, because those aren't the people that are buying the game directly on the Xbox store or the Steam store or the PlayStation store. So there were 60 people trying to go to Bungie.net to get collector's editions or game codes, or like it was just, and the reveal was good. The thing that I have the most concern about is this season started today. This is August, and it ends when the Witch Queen comes out in February. There's not, because the Witch Queen got delayed, so they were trying to do the 90 days. Oh, actually, not the Witch Queen got pushed back. I got to use the same rhetoric that I use for 2K as I do for Destiny. They never dated the Witch Queen, so it was never really delayed. They just said, hey, typically we release games in November, or like October, November, the last couple of years, and named expansions. That's not going to happen this year. It's going to be early 2022. So like seeing a season on screen, say, like even my buddy Randy said it today, like 181 days left in the season. That's a lot.
Yeah. I hope there's enough to do.
They've got some stuff planned. I guess Bungie Studios' 30th anniversary is this year, so they're doing some interesting stuff in the Destiny game. There's been a bunch of rumors about like a kind of like a Halo crossover happening in there. If they did something like that, I think it would happen around the 30th anniversary. So they've definitely got some kind of like late holiday update, I guess, coming to the game that's paid, and some people are kind of freaking out about it. Mm-hmm. But games as a service, like extending things out, people expecting, continuous content for $10 every 90 days, and not willing to spend an extra, $10 or $15 for what I feel has been, upper tier quality content. I just think you're just being old and curmudgeoned. Like I saw a YouTube video released this week that was all of the cutscenes from Season of the Splicer, this previous season that lasted 3.5 months. And it was like a 2 hour and 20-minute video. So for, 3 months of content, granted it's drip fed and it's weekly content, but they released, like if you were just to watch, like if Michael, if you just wanted to know what was going on without playing it, and you were to watch like this season, quote unquote, movie, it's 2 hours.
Yeah, it's
like,
it'd be a full movie.
And they do 2 hours worth of voiceover cutscene content every 3 months.
Yeah. They seem like they're doing the games as a service right. It's just sometimes I question if the fan base deserves it. Yeah,
I agree. It's just never enough.
Yeah.
It's never right. It's never enough. And it's like, you're making me pay for this, and it's not my fault that you didn't bring the game out when you wanted to. And I'm like, what?
And I don't understand it, because like the Apex community seems pretty, but I guess they were told from the beginning how things would work.
Well, the difference is, like, and I understand what you're saying, but the difference is that Apex is free to play.
Destiny is free to play now.
Yes,
but they weren't at the beginning.
Yeah, so and I think that people are like, well, the free to play player is messing with my game.
Yeah,
like, and that's in that.
But the problem with that is, like, you've already gotten your $60 worth.
100%. Yeah, like you'll never hear me complain about the value of Destiny. And I guess I almost want to change it from free to play. It's free to participate is what Destiny is. It's not free to play, because if you want to do the good stuff in the game, you got to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So it's Destiny is a free to participate game. Apex is a free to play game. So. Everything else is like cosmetics and stuff.
And so, Apex hasn't had to evolve change their monetization or anything. It's been pretty straightforward.
Correct.
Destiny went from being like, hey, Sony's basically bankrolling all this stuff to...
Right, but you also can't... They can't point the finger at Activision anymore. They're doing this 90-day monetization. They're doing this a lot of heavy customizations in their events, Eververse events. They're doing it to themselves, like... But at the same time, this is data I would love to see, because they wouldn't be investing this much content in their cosmetics if people weren't buying them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's a reason why they're still willing to do this and deal with the most unhappy community.
Yeah. When I see a guy at the microtransaction store and you see his character glow every like 3 or 4 seconds because he's buying levels, he or she is buying levels, like, okay, thanks, buddy. You just paid for next week's story.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. So that's kind of like, I was thinking about this too. And this just dawned back in my head. I've actually done a pretty decent job this year of like starting and completing games.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah,
I've actually gotten really bad at finishing games.
Going back to post like right around holiday, like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Luigi's Mansion, Ratchet and Clank. Like those are the ones off the top of my head. Skyward Sword, I'm almost done with.
Paper Mario.
Yeah, that was last year though. So yeah, like the last like 12 or 13 months, a game every other month.
For the most part, yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So that's better than what I had been doing the last couple of years. So.
For me, it has been just a little bit of Boyfriend Dungeon, not too much because work has kind of gotten in the way.
I feel like a child. I feel like a teen, like a preteen every time you say that game name.
Boyfriend Dungeon?
Boyfriend Dungeon, and then giggle.
You blush a little and you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
I want to be.
You want to meet Sunder?
I was going to say, never mind. I'm not even going to say it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Dave, I would pay you to just stream Boyfriend Dungeon and then just hear you every week talk about like, oh my god, Sunder hit on me and I think I'm in love.
See, the problem with something like that too is like, you know how I've gotten into like All American or I get into some of these like sports drama shows? Mm-hmm. I would be worried about what would happen if I played a game like that. I'd be like, I need to see how Sunder and I don't even know Sunder and Jessica, like, is this gonna work?
You like, turn into Destiny Dave to a Boyfriend Dungeon hunt. So playing that, not much has changed. Just slowly going through that. I just fell off just because of work, and then Final Fantasy XIV has kind of been that game that I'm just constantly trying to play just because I'm trying to catch up to my friends, not necessarily catch up fully with them because they are already beaten like the third or fourth expansion. I forget how many there are. So I'm never going to really catch up to them. And I watch Sarah and my friends play high level content. And I'm just like, oh God, that does not interest me at all. That looks complicated. There's too many rule sets. Hearing them in the voice chat, just being like, okay, when
3, 2, 1 drop spell, like
no when it's like the moon is black, everyone push forward, and then like this weird stuff like, oh wait, what is right, oh no, left, and just weird like stuff like that. It's just very confusing, and I look at the screen and there's this shit flying everywhere. I'm just like, I can't do that. But right now I'm just trying to get through as much of my MSQ as possible, like the main story quests, just so I can open up more dungeons to run with them, because Final Fantasy XIV does actually a really good job of giving like players that have beaten content reason to go back to content outside of social aspects, in terms of rewarding them, especially in the later like extreme challenges or trials. There's things they can unlock and things that they can use to like sell
high stats, high value, rare items, artifact stuff,
And a good thing is most of my friends they have like 5 or 6 classes at level 80, which is the max level, but then they also have stuff that's at lower levels that they can play with me. But
let me go get my alt for you. Sorry, let me go get my 30 level less guy just to hang out with you.
Yeah, just basically all of them are just like, I guess I'll start leveling up my healer, because none of them want to play healer. So I've been doing that. The only problem is I hit a point on Sunday where I was fully expecting to play a bunch of stuff with my friends, but I hit like a story wall where it's just like, okay, you're going to be in cutscenes for the next like 40, 50 minutes. Yeah. And then you'll get out of that, you'll do something, and then here's more cutscenes. So I'm basically just trying to get past like a good chunk of like the base game. So
you hit a conflict focal point, like
and the problem is I like doing the dungeons with everybody because it's just a social chat thing, but I'm just not super into the story. And I think part of the reason is during quarantine lockdown, I watched all this Sarah go through pretty much the entire story. So now I'm going through it and it's my character and I'm just like, well, I already seen this, so I just have to burn through this stuff. So just been doing that. I ended up on Friday or Saturday, I think I stayed up till like 3 a.m. To where the world's super big. Like there's several different maps and you can fast travel to them if you like attune to a crystal in that area. My friend Josh found out that I wasn't attuned to every crystal, so we were out up until like 2-3 in the morning, him just driving me around to every crystal in the game so I can attune to it and make doing my story quests faster, so I could just fast travel. And then them just making fun out of me and just throwing me like armor that's higher level, because my character currently right now just looks like I shopped at the dollar store for all my gear.
You get like their pity drops. Oh, this one's like 2 or 3 points below what I want. You can have it.
Yeah, basically. And then just being like, oh, I would give you this, but you're too low level. And just being like, okay, I'll go do this.
Can't you give it to me now and I can just put it away and then put it on later? Like, give it.
Yeah, some stuff it seems like they can, but other steps it seems like it's way too far. Yeah. So we're just like, what's the point? Especially a couple of them are crafting. So they're not going to waste their material yet until I can use it. So ton of Final Fantasy XIV. It's kind of been that game that, like Sunday, I've dedicated to where that's the time I can play like 3-4 hours in a row, as opposed to the middle of the week where I'm too tired from work to stare at a computer screen. So I'd rather stare at my Switch or my TV.
I think we're getting to the point where we might need to make an official DDG server for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, well, Wyatt actually has an alt character on our data center, so I'm gonna probably start playing with him and use DDG. For voice chat. And then I've been still playing Ace Attorney. We're on the 5th trial. We're about to wrap that up. Really love it. It's such a good series of trials and cases that you have to do, and there's a nice variety with the gameplay mechanics. I after the 5th trial, I believe that's the end of the first game, and then a second game starts with 5 more different trials or cases. So getting through that. Don't know if we're going to take a break once we finish this first game and then wait a couple days before jumping into the other one, because they do this 5th trial is very lengthy. I've been surprised every time it extends itself, but it never feels like it's wasting my time every time they add a twist that adds another hour or 30 minutes of content. So that's pretty much it for playing. Last week I spent quite a bit of time modifying the GameCube that I talked about. So
you talked about that with Josh, didn't you?
Yeah, but I actually did the stuff early last week. I posted pictures in our Discord, but basically swapping out the LED lights for new ones and swapping out the battery meant I had to relearn how to solder, which I burned my hand 3 times, which isn't too bad compared to what I was expecting when I first learned soldering in high school, and it's been about 10 plus years since I've soldered. So did that. Really happy with how it ended up coming out, swapping a light and getting the battery out. So now it's making my life easier. Ended up ordering the mod chip and installing that. So now I can do all sorts of weird shit with the GameCube. And then I found something, I think it's on Etsy, Rocker Gaming. They actually make custom jewels. So that little Nintendo GameCube logo on top of the system, that's actually a piece of plastic that you can pull out and then you can replace it with something else. So I got a Pokemon one from them. I actually really like the way the work has turned out, and I'm still going to do more. I want to replace the fan. Since I'm stupid, I really like LEDs, so I'm going to add more LEDs to it. Apparently
he's going to RBG out his GameCube. RGB.
No, that's exactly what I'm going to end up doing, just because I found out so many different things, and the GameCube's so easy to customize compared to other consoles I tried messing with. I had to learn how to solder and watch YouTube videos or relearn how to solder.
Especially for a system that has a proprietary disc, like the mini discs, and the fact that the discs are obviously smaller, but at its core, it's still just a basic CD reader.
Yeah, and there's just so much stuff. You can load games into an SD card with this chip, and people have made it so easy to where it just plugs into a port in the bottom of the console, and then you can just plug an SD card into it. It's really nice, especially right now. GameCube stuff is gone up in crazy price to where it's not even reasonable to track games down anymore. So that's why I was interested in doing this to the GameCube, and it's also a GameCube I got that was being thrown out. So I feel more willing to take the chance and modify it, because worst case scenario it breaks, but even if I break something, it's really modular to where I could just easily get spare parts off eBay if something does go wrong. And then so that burned my fingers. I couldn't use my fingerprint reader on my phone.
Oh, jeez.
Off my left hand, which was fun. I like later that day, I was just like, why can't I unlock my phone? It's like, oh, you burnt your finger. So now I can't, if I need to commit crimes, I have like one finger that won't leave a print. And then wrestling was like all this weekend. CM Punk returned, which was like one of the coolest things to watch in a long time. Even people that weren't watching wrestling were talking about it just because it was like the craziest reaction anyone's seen in a long time at a wrestling event. And then WWE responded with really bad booking the next day, and a weird NXT future. So there's a lot of wrestling, but like wrestling's kind of exciting right now because AEW is doing crazy stuff, and WWE is kind of
doing their own version of crazy stuff.
yeah, and a lot of it's not working out. So it's just it's truly bizarre, but it's like a fun time to be a wrestling fan. But I believe that's it for playing and watching. I've rewatched the CM Punk AEW thing like a dozen times. Sarah's gotten really tired of me being like, did you see this crowd? Look at all these people crying, sort of thing. So I've just been rewatching that over and over again.
Nice. All right. So we will hit up some questions here. You can send us questions using hashtag AskDigitalDays. You can send those on Twitter like Tom H. Lord did. So he said, what's the last racing game you played and why? So.
For me, it was one of the Horizon games because of Game Pass. Because
I don't think that's what Thomas wanted you to respond with.
It was just I've always been interested in those games, and I don't like simulator racing games, and the Horizon series is like gives you a little bit of that, but it's arcadey for the most part. So the last Horizon game that was on Game Pass, I played that, and then before that it was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Yeah, I played the most recent one on Game Pass that just got uploaded to Game Pass. I think that's Hot Pursuit or the remastered one. If I guess I don't really feel like Need for Speeds. I mean, I guess technically they are racing games you're trying to get across first, but then with all the other objectives that they do in there, I find them to be more fun. And I guess prior to that, Drive Club?
Yeah.
As kind of like a community gaming event night thing. I'm not... I suck at simulation racing. B, I don't enjoy racing that much at all. And C, like, I really only like the Need for Speed style, I guess. If you're Need for Speed, Cruising USA style games. So.
Well, yeah, especially, I was really disappointed, though, with Hot Pursuit. Like, it was good, it's fine, it's still fun. But the thing I loved most about Hot Pursuit was the leaderboard chasing. Mm-hmm. And not enough people on my PlayStation friend list picked it up. So then, I played it, and I bought it way later than when it came out. I bought it, several months later, and there was just no one on my friend list that actually played it, which just kind of defeated, the fun for me of just I
don't have enough friends on Xbox to fill it up yet either. Recently, I don't need to see Johnny as a boy at the top all the time because it's like him and nobody else.
Yeah, but then the problem I have with Xbox is because a lot of people just get their stuff off Game Pass and there's so many things to choose from. There's so many people that I know that just start games and never finish them, and by start I mean they play 10 minutes and are not for me, and then they quit. So it definitely has led to more people just being that idea that they're not risking anything by trying a game has definitely led to just people kind of quitting games way earlier.
For sure. And then kind of a follow-up question from Billy 503 Solid on Twitter. What is the best racing game from the PS2 days, and do you ever think that there will be a remaster of said game? I can't answer this question because I didn't play very much PS2 or racing games for that matter.
Midnight Club Dub Edition is probably one of my favorite racing games. Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. That was amazing on the PS2. Did it ever make it to... No, it was just PS2 and Xbox. Yeah, that was from Rockstar. That was a really fun racing game. Do I think they would ever remake it? Probably not, because it's in that disgusting era of cars where everyone disliked LEDs on every aspect of the car, and that stuff is aged really bad.
Yeah, the Tokyo Drift style car or something.
Exactly, yeah. Where it's just like neon lights under the car, and that was like so cool back then. But I think now, if you look at it, it's just like, what were we thinking? It's like when you look at how you dressed 10 years ago, and you're just like, what the fuck was I? What, was I on drugs? That's how I feel about cars back then.
I'm taller and heavier, and my clothing is now smaller.
Yeah, it just. And I would love to see Midnight Club brought back, but I don't think they would ever remaster it just because like music and then just stylistically, I just don't think it works anymore. But I that would be something I'd be super into.
Yeah,
but it definitely feels of a time because it is that Fast and Furious 2 Tokyo Drift era of cars that I don't think holds up really well in 2021.
And then Randy Sprouse sends a question, if kind of a follow up to a little bit what we're talking about last week with like eventually doing something different with our jobs. But so if salary wasn't an issue, what would be your dream job?
I would think something like this because I like talking on a microphone. So like because I do the video thing, I do the movie stuff. I might do a Bulls podcast come the basketball season because me and my friends are talking about how excited we are for the upcoming bowl season. So I think I would like to do some version of this to where I can get paid and not have to worry about a full-time job. That would be great because I'm not a big fan of streaming video games. I see anyone with just mild success in streaming and then I look at like the craziness that is their chat and I'm just like, that's not for me.
Right. Similar answer. I would love to be like a morning sports radio show host.
Would be your annoying name?
I have no idea, and I don't think that's a thing anymore.
I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah, I mean, I really am like. There's a couple guys that locally in Detroit that have been doing some stuff since I was like before I could drive. So like since I was a teenager, preteen, they're still in the radio scene in Metro Detroit. And then as well as like I'm a really big fan of like Mike Greenberg at ESPN, the way his ability to host things.
Is that the small one or the big one?
The small one.
Okay, yeah.
And obviously he had a very successful morning show with Mike and Mike. He has I really like his cadence and how he does things. So that's something that I would, and I would say that it goes up and down pretty regularly, but sports is still pretty high for me, probably above video games in terms of like passion and hobbying. This is, like fun. And then, like obviously the pandemic has changed, changed a little bit of how I function in terms of socializing and gaming, but it would definitely be like some kind of like, I think I would love to do play-by-play, but I think I would hate the travel. So, and our last question from Randy Pinnock. If you were on an island for 1 month, you could bring one system and 3 games. What ones do you bring?
Okay. So, I didn't get clarification from him if I had an internet connection. I'm going to assume I don't have an internet connection.
Oh, God. No, I'm assuming I do have one.
I would say we have to assume you don't have one. You're on an island.
I'm not prepared to answer this question.
Okay, well, you can answer it with internet and without internet if possible.
Okay.
So I think
Dude, you want me to list 6 games? That's not fair.
Well, so like if it had internet, it would be a PS4, and it would be The Witcher, for sure.
You don't need internet for that.
I know, but it would just be there.
Okay.
It would be Dreams. Because so many different games, and then Little Big Planet, I believe was a PS4 game, right? The Little Big Planet 3 made it on PS4.
Yeah. So
I'd probably go with that just for variety. But if we don't have the internet, I'm gonna go Witcher 3 because it's a long ass game. I'm gonna go Spider-Man because it's just fun and you need something that isn't super depressing. And then Minecraft, I think. Even though you would be living Minecraft, I think I would do Minecraft because then it would give me something to do goal-oriented. I'm assuming I'm not fighting for my survival on this island. I just need to kill time for 30 days. So I feel like Minecraft...
Where did you get 30 days from?
Didn't it say a month?
Yeah, it did.
1
Okay,
month, yeah.
never mind.
So I think if I have something like a Minecraft to where it's just like, okay, I'm just going to dig a hole or like, I don't know, build something that I can work towards.
Okay.
That would probably make most sense for me. Like Witcher will take me 200 hours to do, and then Minecraft would just be like let me just dig another tunnel.
Okay. All right. So yeah, with or without internet, it would still be PS4.
Mm-hmm.
And without internet, as you've been talking, it would be MLB The Show and Madden. Like I would I could run franchises or Road to the Show forever.
Yeah.
And then I would have to say the Uncharted collection.
Ooh, nice.
Would be my third
collection.
Would be my third game. With internet, I'd probably still say like Road to the Show or MLB. And then I would just have like more current rosters and things like as I needed them. Destiny, obviously. Because I could go there with my PS4 Destiny in 30 days.
Especially,
if you put me on
especially if they like blank your PSN account and you have to start from scratch, you'll be set.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I could just take my PS4 and Destiny and you want to put me by myself for 30 days and I can sleep and play Destiny. I'm good. I'm
start
cool.
Destiny from the beginning and then you're set.
I got 2 other characters I haven't given any attention to for a while. And then yeah. So. Yeah, I think that. I mean, that would probably be where it's at. Like, but yeah, like the Uncharted collection, I think would be great. You know, in terms of like playing through multiple. That's like 30 hours.
Yeah, like 12
hours.
to 15 hours each game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that actually isn't a bad choice. Yeah, I was looking at other stuff. Like I could probably get away with like a Tetris Effect for a while. That's like a forever game. Like I wouldn't want to take anything I haven't already beaten just in case like I'm just like hate playing a video game.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't take something like Last of Us or something that wouldn't make me feel like that would like really like run me down or something like that.
Oh god, yeah. I was thinking of it too. I'm just like, last like no, like you're already on an island. I don't know if we're trying to live on this island, like survive and like have to scavenge for food, but I would not want to play The Last of Us in between scavenging for food.
Right. All right, so the spotlight I would assume would be Gamescom. Hopefully there's some cool stuff that comes out of Gamescom this week as you guys are like listening to this show on Thursday. The opening night live would have already happened, but definitely go check that stuff out. Hopefully, like we mentioned earlier, we get some pretty cool stuff for Saints Row and some other I'm ready for some surprise game announcement at this point, like something unexpected, something out of left field that we didn't know was coming. Whether that game comes this upcoming holiday or is coming out in like February, March, or April. I'm ready for something kind of cool.
I feel like we're due for a surprise indie game. I feel like maybe not a surprise AAA game, but we're due for like a surprise indie game.
Did you get a chance to check out 12 Minutes yet or no?
No, unfortunately, just work kicked my ass last week.
I got to make sure that I check some of that stuff out. So yeah, you can follow us on the Twitterverse. At Digital Days Pod is the main account. At the first MJC is for Michael. At Good Dave Hunt is myself. Facebook group, Discord server are in the show notes. So click on those, join the community, join the conversations, hang out. If you see any kind of conversation thread or suggestion you would like to have in our Discord, feel free to make those suggestions. Myself, Michael, or Wyatt's like a Discord wizard. He's helped with a lot of that stuff for me. We've been setting up a bunch of cross-play stuff in my Destiny Discord this week, just getting some things ready for that as that's rolling out this week as well. And Wyatt's been a huge asset for those kind of things. And then Patreon tiers, patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming, $1 tip jar, $3 Discord access, $5 24-hour early access to the show. And Michael and I have to get off our ass and record some bonus content. Summer's been hard. My overnights. I'll take 80% of the heat for the overnights.
Yeah,
that's kind of messed everything up. So we'll definitely figure some unique stuff out to do that. And as always, feedback on Patreon is appreciated. A couple of you guys have been supporters for a while and you stopped, which is totally fine and totally understandable. I have reached out, to get feedback as well. Some of you have picked up your Patreon tiers or, up them. So again, thank you. That's always helpful and appreciative. Just check your Twitch stuff for us, please. That's always great. That's like super helpful. Again, like if you are, do not feel obligated to subscribe to us on Twitch, through payment, or even if you don't have Amazon Prime, don't feel bad. It's just another tangible way that you can support us if you so choose. I do not want anybody to feel like they have to do this. If you're not financially stable or that's bothersome to you, then that's fine. I know there's a couple of people that I communicate with on a regular basis that are like, you know what? I'm too old for Patreon. I don't want to mess with it. I'm like, okay. They're just
a share
it's not my
is
thing.
Almost as valuable.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially right now, sharing with your friends, letting people know that we exist. Reviewing us on iTunes is a huge help, especially if we can get multiple people to do it around the same time.
It's been a couple months since we had a review, so if you're hearing this and you haven't written a review, I want your ears to burn a little bit. Yeah, like right there in the back. So, but so any of that stuff that you can do to help us out is super helpful and loved and appreciated. So, I think that's pretty much it. You got anything else, Michael?
No, just expect some bonus stuff next week on the regular podcast feed. Some stuff Dave can't talk about, and then some interview stuff that I've done. So there's going to be a decent amount of content coming over the next 2 weeks or so. So just look for that.
Start catching up because you're going to have something every 72 to 72-ish hours for the next couple weeks, next week or two. So not including if something comes out of Gamescom.
Yep.
So, all right. I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick.